Hi, everybody. My name is Corey, and welcome back to another SportZ Beast Show. Today, we're going to be looking at some highlights from last week's games. We're going to be introducing a new segment, and we're going to be going over a little bit of fantasy. So let's jump right into the first of the highlights. I wanted to start this off with a game that I thought was a for sure lock, but watching the ticker at the bottom of the Steelers game had me questioning that just a little bit. To start this off, you got Young-Ho Koo tying his season long of 54 yards to get the Falcons on the board with 5 minutes into the game. After a big 50-yard run from Taysom Hill, how about an 11-yarder that goes for a touchdown? Marcus Mariota back to pass. Receiver catches the ball. Oh, and it comes out. This would be the first of two for the Falcons. Cordarrelle Patterson showing his strength and fighting up the middle for the score. Back to Mariota with a 2-yard TD. His first rushing touchdown since November of last year. Ball security has played a huge factor in this game. And well, if you're going to fumble, better do it in style. Here you got Mariota scrambling, going to take off, and even he loses the football. Saints recover. Ball inside the 5. Winston back to pass to Mike Thomas. His first coming back as a New Orleans Saint. And speaking of firsts, how about former OSU Chris Olave getting his first also? Final play of the game, 2 seconds left. Koo for the win. It's blocked, brought down. Saints hold on for the win, 27-26. I would like to thank the Saints for not only securing that win for themselves, but for keeping my pick alive in my pick'ems as well. History is made every single day, whether you notice it or not, but there is a limited window in which you can make history in Week 1. Since the AFL-NFL merger in 1971, only 3 other teams have tied in the opening week. So congratulations to the Colts and Texans for adding another line in those history books. So let's jump into the fourth quarter where it really matters. 20-3. And if Indy's going to come back, they've got a ton of work to do. Let's see what they make happen. Here they're going to add to their score with a 17-yard field goal from the Lego Man himself. Even the defense is making big plays in the fourth quarter. Ball's out, but it's again recovered by Houston. Jonathan Taylor from the 2-yard line, rushing up the middle, and he's in for the score. 13-20. Houston still on top. Taylor still chugging up the middle, again for 20 yards this time. Taylor ended up finishing his night with 161 yards. And if you don't believe me, here's about 20 more of them. Matt Ryan back, says, "Not today, Taylor." Pass to Pittman, getting about 10 extra yards after the catch, and he's in for his first and only score of the game. Tie game, 20-20. Let's move on to overtime. Defense did it once. They can definitely do it again. Mariota down for the sack. Matt Ryan back. Quick pass to Mo Alley Cox. Can he make it? And he's diving for the first down. Moving the chains for Indy. 42-yard attempt from Blankenship to win. and it's missed it. And there you have it. The first tie of the 2022-23 season. But it is not the first missed kick, however. There were 15 missed kicks in the 14 games on Sunday. And on a different note, not a single team from the AFC South came away with a win this week. Coming up, we have a new segment called Surprise Surprise, where we talk about what surprised us most in last week's games. Make sure you stick around and check it out. Hi everybody, make sure you check out the SportZ Beast channel. We do the normal show where we do predictions and punishments. We also do a podcast where we just kind of chill out and have a little bit of fun. No matter what we're doing, we're always having fun and we're always talking sports. So make sure you check us out. Hello everybody and welcome back to the show. We are going to be jumping right into a new segment that we called Surprise Surprise. Basically, take the previous week's games and think about something that interests you or made you think a little bit, or maybe you noticed something, or maybe just simply it surprised you. This is what this segment's going to be about. I'm going to talk about a team that I already covered it today in the show, but I thought it was a good enough category or segment to be brought up again. I'm going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts and Houston Texans. Look at that matchup. They came out a tie. The Texans allowed over 500 total yards of offense. That's 340 passing, which was second in week 1, and 177 rushing, which was 6th in week 1. You had Matt Ryan, who had over 350 yards and a touchdown. You had Jonathan Taylor, who had 161 yards and a touchdown. Michael Pittman, 9 catches for 121 yards and got his touchdown. You do have to give credit where credit is due. To come back down 17 in the fourth quarter and take it into overtime, absolutely incredible. They did a great job getting to that point. But to go into overtime and not score once, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown, safety, what have you, what does this team have to do to get over the hump? You got rid of what everybody was saying was the problem in Carson Wentz. Brought in a veteran who makes good decisions and can read a defense very well in Matt Ryan. What else does this team need? You had the number 1 running back in the NFL last year. Still have him this year. You have receivers. Your O-line is good. Your defense is good. So what more does this team need to do to overcome a team like the Texans? Make the field goal and you win the game. Blankenship was cut a couple days ago. Do I like it? No. Do I think it was fair? It was week 1. A ton of people missed kicks last week. I haven't seen any others cut. Look back in 2020. 45 extra point attempts. 43 of those were made. He was 32 for 37 in field goals. 86%. Only missed 5 in 16 games. In 2021, it was a different story. He only played 5 games. I forget. I'm assuming he was hurt. for a kicker to only play that many games. He was 11 for 14 in field goals. 7 of 8 in extra points. That's what? Missed 4? Go back to last week, 2022, week 1. 2 for 3 in field goals. 2 for 2 in extra points. Missed 1. Just so happened they could have won the game with that 1 field goal. Now, I think this front office, they were mad that they didn't beat a team like the Texans. And hey, I wasn't out there playing. Front office says it wasn't me out there. Somebody's gotta catch blame. You tied. You did not win. You missed that field goal. And it was a division game. Somebody has to pay. Unfortunately, it was Blankenship that ended up having to pay. Anyways, that is all for me. I asked Cody to do the exact same thing. Tell me what he was surprised about last week for last week's games. We're going to go over to him right now and see what he's got to say.
Surprise, surprise for you guys. And my surprise is all on the same team. 3 of them. Call it a hat trick, if you will. My first up is the one and only Geno Smith. Came out, didn't start right away for the Jets, but he eventually got the start job, went all season, didn't impress. Now he's used to be what I would call a career backup until this year, until Seattle decided to settle, until next year when they draft their number 1 quarterback. It will happen eventually. Get ready, Geno. But this, coming from a guy like that, getting punched in the face by his own teammate, broken jaw, whatever, he comes up and he plays a hell of a week 1. No one expected this guy to win, this team to win, let alone. And when he did it, he only incompleted the ball 5 freaking times. 5 times. 23 for 28, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, only sacked twice. That's 119 and a half QBR. Ridiculous. No one expected Geno to do this. He's controlling this team exactly how it needs to be controlled. Next up, on the same team, is DK Metcalf. Gazelle legs. Downfield demon. Whatever you want to call this guy. He didn't produce downfield. So surprise, surprise. He did not produce downfield. He did produce. You look at his stat line, you see 7 receptions. You're like, going to be a good day for DK because he always catches at least a 30 to 40 yard bomb. Nope, not today. 7 receptions, 36 yards. That's only 5.1 average per catch. This is baffling to me. Like I said, you look at his receptions, you think this dude went off for 100 yards, maybe 90-some. No, didn't even get a touchdown either. So very disappointing. I know even on fantasy it's going to look like he had 10 points doing something in PPR, but nothing. You go to a standard league, he had 4 points. PPR, 10. That tells you something. That's my second surprise. My third surprise is more of a sarcastic surprise, as in Jamal Adams being injured yet again. Hasn't played a full season since 2018. I know he hasn't missed too many games, but he still hasn't played a full season, and that's got to count for something. And my main thing is about the surprise is he took another ride on a cart. Seems like every time this dude gets injured, doesn't matter, he could stub his toe, he could jam his finger, they're taking a cart to the locker room for him. He's taking a ride on that damn cart. And I don't know if it's the one organization telling him, hey, you just hurt your knee, ankle, etc., whatever. He hurt his knee this time. But they don't want him walking on it. Get him on the cart, get him to the locker room. I don't know if it's the organization or if it's just him saying, yeah, I'm injured. Fuck it. Let's make the most out of this. Give me a cart ride. Take me to the back. I'm not walking. You kidding me? I get paid millions of dollars. You think I'm going to walk injured? Nah. But that's my 3 surprises. So, surprise, motherfucker. Do you like fantasy? Do you like matchups? Stick around. Because me and SportZ Beast are going to talk about both deeply.
What's up, guys? You want to be a baller like me? Well, you can't. But what you can do is like and subscribe to videos of Ballers on a Budget. Release a video, maybe 2, every week. It's as easy as a free throw. Damn it.
Welcome back to the show. We are moving on to fantasy. We're going to be talking about my team, and then we're also going to be talking about Cody's team. And then we have a little something that I asked him to do, which I'll explain later. It's pretty simple. So on to my team, the SportZ Beast. Obviously, I did win last week, put up about 133 points. And because Dak got injured, my opponent, the Gerbils, which is still awesome, the Gerbils ended up putting about 90-some points. So it would have been pretty close had he not been injured. Nonetheless, we're moving on to week 2. I'm playing the flea market team. And I got to say, these names are outstanding. I'm playing the flea market team. We're both projected to get about 138, 137 points. So it's going to be a close game. But as we know, I said it last week, projections mean almost nothing. So I'm keeping Lamar Jackson in. He's playing Miami. I think he's going to have a pretty similar week. Stephon Diggs, obviously I'm keeping him in, not taking him out unless he gets hurt. I have Jalen Waddle, again, playing Baltimore. And I think I didn't watch their game last week, so I don't really know how their defense looks. But I'm hoping he gets a little bit more touches than he did last week. Austin Eckler needs to step up big for me. I think he only got like 11 points last week, which is kind of obviously unexpected and disappointing for drafting him. But we all know what he can do. I can't think of his name. Williams.
Javonte Williams.
Yes, thank you. From Denver. He did very well, looked amazing, and it's not going to be long before Melvin Gordon's not even touching the ball anymore.
Called it.
Kyle Pitts, very disappointing for being a top 4 touted tight end this year. He got less than 10 points. So hopefully he can do a little bit better going up against the Rams defense. Cortland Sutton, I liked him. Judy ended up with a little more catches and yards, but they were pretty close. And then, of course, you got Tyler Bass and the Los Angeles Rams defense. So that's what I went with last week. I'm not changing it up this week either. On the other side, the flea market side of things, you got Josh Allen. Obviously, he's going to do pretty well. I think he got 20 points last week. I expect him to get about the same going up against the Tennessee defense. He's got Deontay Johnson. And honestly, I don't think he's going to get the touches this year that he normally gets. He has Jerry Jeudy, so we'll even out there. I have a little note here that said it can be anyone's day with Russell Wilson under center. He has Derrick Henry, and he's going up against the Buffalo defense, so I'm hoping this Buffalo defense kind of stifles him just a little bit because even coming off of an injury, it's Derrick Henry. You expect him to go crazy. Joe Mixon going up against the Dallas defense, I expect him to have a pretty good day, assuming they don't decide to throw the ball all the time. The last one I'm going to mention is Darren Waller, tight end. He wasn't – I don't know how to say this. He wasn't his normal self. He only got about 10 points, 10 or 11 last week. But with the addition of Devontae Adams for the Raiders in the offseason, I think even his touches are going to go down more because you're trying to squeeze it to the best receiver in the league. And why wouldn't you? So we're going to jump over to Cody's side of things. because that's all I need to talk about. I'm hoping for a win. Cody, go over your side, your matchup in fantasy.
Uh, Before we hop to my matchup, I do have a couple things I want to mention about yours.
Okay.
You mentioned last week you won by almost 40 points. And if Dak would have been in, it would have been close. Not a chance. Dak wasn't doing good that game. No matter what, you had the win locked up, knowing that she only had a quarterback and tight end to go.
Yeah, I don't remember who he had
Yeah,
left.
but no, you had it locked up. I was watching it very closely as I was watching my own as well. But another thing I want to mention to you is I wouldn't change your lineup, but it just sucks when one of your players is going against your defense because you don't know who to root for. You root for them to get yards, but not necessarily score a touchdown because that's going to lower your defense. You don't really, I mean, then you almost have to play the mathematical game. Is a touchdown on a player worth more than a touchdown given up by the defense? Because then there's those brackets that the defense can't fall in so many points. So you got to play a mathematical game while the game's going on if you're paying attention to it. Just kind of sucks. One kind of takes away from the other. It's like the opposite end of having a double hookup between a quarterback and a wide receiver. It's literally the opposite side of that.
Yeah, the good thing about that is I have Fryermuth on my bench, who did a little bit better than Kyle Pitts did.
But no, I don't think it's cause for a change or anything.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts. He's going to be top 3 tight end in the league by the end of it. But it's just it's interesting and conflicting at the same time. All right, but let's go ahead, hop into Ballers on a Budget versus Brian motherfucking May. Brian, you're a piece of shit, dude. You barely won last week. You got a lucky team. But when we're talking about my team, we're not talking about luck. It's all skill. I did win last week by 13 or so points. I was happy with my squad. Justin Herbert, Jamar Chase. I had one of the top 5 wide receiver. I think he was 8th total in the league for top fantasy contributors. Full point PPR. So I had Jamar Chase. I was happy. The only thing I wasn't happy about is David Montgomery only got me like 9 points. I got to change something with that. He's my second running back. I obviously have Nick Chubb before him. Got Tyreek Hill in my 2 wide receiver slot. And then I did have, I honestly forget what tight end I just dropped. That's how bad he was. Only got me like 5 or 6 points. I didn't have a good tight end. I dropped him. I was looking for other tight ends. I couldn't find a sure tight end that could get me some good receptions. So I went out a limb and I drafted Taysom Hill. I didn't draft. I picked him up on the waiver wire. Draft my current tight end. Picked up Taysom Hill. And he's only projected for 7.5 right now, but he's just that utility knife in the backfield. You don't know if you're going to get throwing points from him. You don't know if you're going to get running points. You don't know if you're going to get receiving points. That's the good thing about Taysom Hill, but it's also a huge gamble depending on how Jameis Winston out there is throwing the ball and how Sean Payton feels, how frisky he feels that day. But yeah, going to my current 1-0, undefeated. I know it's going to remain that way, especially after I beat Brian's shit squad. I mean, he's so bad, he doesn't even have a team name. His team name is Brian. Like, come on, Brian. But I got Herbert going up against his Kyler Murray. I'm going to win that QB battle 9 times out of 10. I got Jamar Chase going up against Cooper Kupp. That's going to be a matchup for the ages. I wish these guys could be going head-to-head in real life somehow in a wide receiver competition, but it can't happen. They'll duke it out in fantasy. Jamar Chase has got the Dallas defense, and Kupp has Atlanta defense, and Atlanta defense is lightweight sneaky to me. Cooper Kupp will still get his 15 targets, but how much of that is he going to haul in? Whereas Dallas defense isn't good in the secondary. I'm not afraid of Diggs, or Jamar Chase shouldn't be afraid of Diggs. You can't lock him up. Going down to the 2 spot, I got Tyreek Hill at Baltimore going up against, I almost want to say Antonio Brown, but it's A.J. Brown. You see one A. Brown for so long, you just assume. But no, A.J. Brown, Philly's new number 1. I mean, he kind of made Devonta Smith look like a nobody because Devonta Smith didn't do nothing, and A.J. Brown, I think, had 10 receptions. So, yeah, that scares me a little bit. I think he is going to win this matchup for him. I like Tyreek Hill, but 2 was no Hurts. He's not Jalen Hurts. Going down to running back, Nick Chubb versus Aaron Jones. They have Aaron Jones outscoring him, and I do see it happening as much as I love Nick Chubb. The only problem is we got Kareem Hunt there to vulture my touchdowns. He vultured one last week. I'll give him his reception touchdown. Kareem Hunt is supposed to get those reception touchdowns, but he vultured that rushing touchdown from Chubb, and I'm angry, and he's going to keep doing it. Then I go to my weak spot at running back, David Montgomery, going against a Green Bay defense, stout defense, supposed to be anyways. They didn't do too hot last week. Going against his Saquon Barkley, who will end the number 1 running back in the league if he stays healthy all year. No, I'm not happy with that at all. So I got to make a change there. So yeah, Corey, this is where I'm asking these questions. Who do I make a change for at running back? I got David Montgomery. I could plug Miles Sanders in, who he's kind of in a lightweight timeshare as well. Hurts likes to run the ball himself. So I'm scared with that one. Or Cordero Patterson, who I would plug Patterson in instantly right away if it wasn't for them going against the Rams defensive front. So which one do you think I'm putting in?
Yeah, but Patterson is that, to use the term you used, utility. I mean, he is that utility guy. He's going to get you points both ways.
Yeah, I got to put him in there, dude. I look down. I have my bat belt on to the left. I got my motherfucking Taysom Hill, and to my right, I got Cordero Patterson, and I have another very dynamic flex player on this team that's another utility player in Deebo Samuel, who, wide receiver, starting at flex. So, yeah, I think you're right. I am going to go ahead and start Cordero Patterson over David Montgomery. The matchup is better. The player is better. And obviously, Patterson's going to catch the ball more than Montgomery. Going down to my tight end, Taysom Hill going against his Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews didn't do too hot. He had his only points came in very late game. So I'm hoping it stays that way. And Taysom Hill had a rushing touchdown last week, had a big rushing play. It was plus 25. I can't remember the exact number, but so I'm hoping he repeats that, and I'm hoping Mark Andrews repeat. If we repeat this, I'm winning that tight end battle. Going down to the flex, Deebo Samuel versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And this is what sucks because you never know what you're going to get from CEH. You never know. It depends on Andy Reid, and it depends on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes went 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They were blowing out their opponent, and they were still throwing the ball. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get. Whereas Deebo Samuel, you know what you're going to get. We're playing a Seattle defense that's shaky at best. Played good last week, but shaky at best. I expect Deebo Samuel to get me 2 touchdowns. Going on to kicker, I got the best kicker in the game, Justin Tucker, going against the second best kicker in the league now. New power ranking, look it up. Cade York from Cleveland. This one scares me just because I think Cleveland's going to be in more long field goal situations than the Ravens will against Miami. Defensively, I just picked up Cincinnati. They're going against Dallas. They're starting Cooper Rush at quarterback. I'm hoping for some turnovers. Let's go, Cincy. I'm never going to root for you again. Going against his defense, San Francisco. Like I said, Brian's team is shit. He's got some good players, but mine's better. Brian, fuck off. I'm winning. That's it for me.
Those were our matchups, our upcoming matchups for the week in fantasy. And like I mentioned before this, I asked Cody to do something because I wanted to hear his opinion of what he could come up with. And I guess it's not really an opinion, but I wanted to see what his research would bring. So I told him to give me the top 5 fantasy producers. And that's exactly what he's going to give you. So here he is right now.
Top 5 fantasy players, week 1, full point PPR, -2 points for a fumble, lost and interceptions. Let's get into it, starting it from 5, counting it back. First up, we got Cooper Kupp. Rams wide receiver, 31.8 points. 13 receptions, 15 targets, 128 yards, and 1 touchdown. This is going to be every week for this guy. 15 targets. Think about it. Moving on. Going to number 4, we got a running back, Saquon Barkley, 33.4. 18 rush attempts, 164 yards. That's averaging 9.1 a carry, 1 touchdown. On the reception side, since it's PPR, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 30 yards, 0 touchdowns on the reception side, unfortunately. But they're coming. Just wait for it. Third up, we got our first quarterback, Josh motherfucking Allen. Buffalo decimated the Rams opening night. Didn't expect it, but what you do expect is a Josh Allen be on this top 5 nearly every damn week. He had a QB rating of 112, 26 for 31, 83%, 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So if you're listening, that's negative 4 points on the interceptions. That sucks, but it's not bad considering the high number he put out. And he did have 33.5, if I didn't mention that before. He also rushed in this game, as he will every game. 10 attempts, 56 yards. He's a number 1 rusher. He got 1 touchdown as well. Number 1 rusher on this team, and arguably number 1 quarterback in the league. Now we're moving on to who is going to be arguing for that number 1 quarterback spot. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, 34.9 points. Dude's just a dog. When he's in the backfield, he has his tongue hanging out. It looks like he's having fun. It's like Jordan when he goes up for a dunk. It doesn't. If you just look at his face, crop out everything, leave his face, it doesn't look like he's playing the sport that he was playing right then. Doesn't look like Jordan's dunking the ball. Doesn't look like he's throwing a touchdown pass. Looks like you're putting together jigsaw puzzles. I love this guy. Anyways, Patrick Mahomes, 144 rating, 30 for 39, 76%, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He tried to rush, didn't get much out of it, nothing point-wise. Moving on to the number 1 of the motherfucking week. My son Bryson would be proud. He loves this guy. Favorite player in the league. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver, 39.4 points. Justin Jefferson is a beast. Going against a crazy good Green Bay defense, he still managed to put up 11 targets, 9 receptions, 184 yards, and 2 pay dirts. 2 touchdowns. Count them. 1 and 2. Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. I mean, these top 5, we're going to have a couple deja vus to where this top 5 is exactly the same. Same people, scrambled order. Look for it.